Oh, yes. That's a newer ingredient.
That was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I really like that. That's probably why.
Hi, welcome back everybody. We're here today with Nicole, Comfy Skin.
Hello.
If you follow her channel, check out her channel. And she's actually visiting Seoul.
Yeah, I am.
So welcome to Korea. Do you
Thank
want to do a little quick intro on who you are?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Nicole and I run, it's sort of just like any social platform at this point. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and I do some live streaming under the name Comfy Skin, and I'm an esthetician in America.
And what brought you all the way to Korea?
The main reason why I want to learn the language is because I want to work in Korea and also create maybe a skincare line here.
Let's talk about your top 5 discoveries in Korea in K-beauty.
The first thing that comes to mind, and the one thing that I think is actually, you know, it's prevalent in the US, but it's more popular here, are toning pads or even exfoliating pads. Like, I know Neogen has some exfoliating pads that are sort of popular in the US, but toning pads are really popular here, and I see them all throughout Olive Young. Like, they have their own section, and it's not easy to find those in a Sephora. And I think that's one. I would assume because it is the faster way of toning your skin, people would go for it in America because everyone's just really fast. But I don't know what it is. I know that it's super popular in Korea, and you know, they have their own sections and stuff. But when it comes to America, it's not as prevalent. The one thing that is prevalent though are exfoliating pads, which is sort of the same deal. It usually has a rougher pad. It's all in this one jar, like a cotton pad with like a rougher bottom, and people in America like that.
I have seen like the Strident, like Duracell kind of like pimple pads, right? I've seen those pads. I would say that those are a little bit different than toning pads. Have you seen a brand that you recommend that you want to talk about, or?
I mean, I don't know if there's a specific brand. I mean, Sue Beauty has their toning pads. They're not an Olive Young, but really liked using that with you. There's just a lot of different ones. I think almost every brand has their own toning pad at some point. I think maybe Round Lab might have one too.
They do.
Yeah, so I haven't tried any of them really. I've tried a couple from Neogen before, but I think that's like the one thing I want to get my hands on is maybe some toning pads.
I highly recommend them, actually, Sue's.
Yeah.
Because they use custom rounds and it feels so soft. It's not the generic kind of like cotton, but it's like a custom made for really, really sensitive skin. And it's like 80-some% cabbage water, cabbage extract or something like that. So yeah, highly recommend that. Number 2 discovery in Korea.
We actually talked about this before, but one ingredient that I see is heart leaf.
Oh yes, heart leaf. Yes, that's a newer ingredient. In fact, we are introducing heart leaf in all of our masks in our upgraded formula because in my mind it's like better than Sika.
Yeah.
So it's like the next level up from Sika. So right now in Korea, heart leaf is kind of all the rage. So we decided to bring that ingredient into our calming masks, which is actually what you used earlier today. And so, and it was
that was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I really like that. That's probably why.
Yeah.
I like the heart leaf.
Yeah, it does a good job calming inflammation. So it's a combination of that and the coconut jelly that calmed your inflammation. So just so that people know, earlier Nicole had some inflammation, and so she tested out our calming masks, and here are the results.
Yeah, I had like redness here, my eye was a little puffy when I woke up, and when I used it, it was like, it just reduced the inflammation a lot.
Yeah.
And you could already see that, you pointed out to me that the redness on my cheeks were like basically gone.
Yeah, that was really effective. And so I really think that's a combination between the coconut jelly that naturally calms inflammation and the introduction of the heart leaf ingredient. Although our current calming masks are just as effective. Yeah. But that was one ingredient that we are introducing in our next updated version. So number 3.
I don't know if this is like a specific thing, but I know that in Korea there's a lot more sunscreen like availability and options. Like a lot of different brands have their own like sunscreen sticks, sunscreen like creams. I picked up a bunch because I find that the filters here are a little less irritating. And also every brand sort of has their own sunscreen.
Yes.
I feel like in America there's like one big brand that has sunscreen and then like maybe a couple small brands, but in Korea you can get like a lot of different sunscreen trials from different brands.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I love Korean sunscreen too. I know there's been a lot of controversies with like Purito and a couple of other SPF fraud. I talk about this all the time. It's actually not rather fraud, but that there's no universal standard to test or to come up with these numbers in SPF.
That's true.
And I wish that was much more recognized by the community, but people just think that these brands are cheating the customers, and that's actually not true. It's actually how they're tested that's actually different. Like for example, the PA standards, the pluses, they don't have that in the US, right? It's not a strict US standard, it's a Japanese standard. This just the way that these systems work is really, really different. But I personally love Korean skincare sunscreen because it doesn't feel sticky or like you're going to the beach, but it actually feels like a lotion to me. So I still stick by Korean sunscreens. So for number 4,
I think what I'm going to say is that there's a lot of different brands in Korea you don't really know about. I'll just make a comparison to the US because that's the easiest way to go. Like I feel like in the US when you go into Sephora, you know generally most of the brands that are there. When I walk into a store in Korea, like when I walk into an Olive Young, there's a lot of different brands that I've never really heard of, or just a lot of like small independent brands, and it ranges. Like, you know, you think that all the Korean brands you can think of are in Olive Young, but then you go to a department store and you find a bunch more. Like it's just everywhere. I feel like beauty is just so integrated into Korean culture that everyone has skincare. There's so many different brands.
The other thing is also, you know, the availability of all of these indie brands and the exposure they get. So in America, the only exposure that you have to K-beauty brands are really which trend features, or like, you know, the big companies. Like just like you have the L'Oreals and Unilevers of the world, same thing in Korea. You have Amore Pacific brands. You know, everybody knows Dr. Jart, but it's an Estee Lauder brand, right? There are all the Amore brands, there are all the like CJ brands, and so all of these big brands are under one big umbrella. And so you get the Amore brands, you get the CJ brands, you get the Wish Trend brands, and those are really the only brands you see that are in K-beauty in America. So it is kind of unfortunate because there's so many different great brands, but yet they don't have the marketing power to go over abroad, and so people are not as familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
And for your last but not least, number 5, the 5th discovery you made in Korea.
Yes, of course the 5th discovery is with you. I mean, I've discovered you before, but I think coming here has really helped in trying out your new masks. The biodegradable coconut jelly masks. Korea in general just has a lot of mask innovation. And I think you know that. I mean, Sophia literally built her brand based off that. So the coconut jelly masks, you know, how fitting it is to my face and how it really like calms my inflammation. I really discovered that today with you. And yeah, just the ability to really penetrate all those good ingredients into my skin without feeling like the mask is falling off my face. Also learning about how, you know, different masks have those like mesh coverings on them. I don't know, I have seen some brands in the US use that, but I think it's mainly your brand and a lot of Korean brands tend to really put a lot of effort into like making their mask very usable and user-friendly. And yeah, that's what I discovered with you.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, for mentioning us.
So people in Korea also definitely do their skincare more often, or it's a ritual. It's not just like skincare that you sort of slap on in the morning. And like we were talking about, a lot of people will mask daily.
Yes.
Or
yes, for sure.
Yeah, like every day or every like 3 to 4 times a week. Where in America, we were saying it, you know, it's more of like a spa thing.
Yeah, people like a once in a blue moon, like, you know, a special occasion thing. Whereas here, it's definitely much more routine and habit, and it's so much so a lifestyle. Beauty is a lifestyle here. It's about health overall rather than like a whole like thing, you know? And so I think the approach to beauty has been very different too.
Yeah, also like one thing that I see is a lot of Korean girls always put the like rollers in their bangs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like taking care of yourself isn't something to be ashamed of. You know, sometimes we try to like hide that we do our skincare routine or like hide that we're like doing our hair, but like in Korea everyone's like just shameless. Like I'm gonna, you know, curl my hair, walk outside, do a face mask, like have the spray in the office, you know, there's just a lot that goes on. I like that. I feel like it just makes it more fun to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah, it's just such an expected behavior and not like a once in a while or like, you know, so it's a very different approach. I will say, like, the K-beauty approach to skincare is very different from the US approach. We mentioned this earlier, but in K-beauty, it's really about creating an environment for your skin where your skin can heal itself. So the biggest, most popular products here are all about hydration and calming inflammation. And you have so many products that calm inflammation. In America, you don't see that as much, and it's not very much talked about in the beauty space. In America, it's more about targeting specific concerns. So it's more about like acids and like harsh, like, I don't know, like
quick treatments, so get it done like right away.
Right. So they just want to get right to that results directly. And again, there is definitely room and space where that's very, very needed. A lot of those practices can be, in Koreans' point of view, pretty harsh. And so they want to stay away from that. Yeah,
there's definitely not a lot of retinol or even like harsher exfoliating ingredients.
No, they don't use a lot of chemical exfoliants. They don't use as many acids. K-beauty approach is they don't want to create like, over time, they don't want your skin barrier to get thinner. So it's all about creating a healthy skin barrier because that helps create an environment where your skin heals itself. So the approach is much more holistic and about hydration and inflammation more than anything else, which is actually why how Mask Moments was based off of the pillars of K-beauty, right? Inflammation and hydration. So yeah, it's definitely something that you see if you're here. Is there anything else you want to talk about with our audience?
All I have to say, I'm just happy to be in Korea and like experience.
Yeah, have fun while you're here.
Thanks.
Check out our collaboration video right here. Guys, thanks for tuning in.